All right, today we are jumping into a really powerful sermon by Daniel Lamptey. He talks about this incredible revelation he had in a dream, and honestly, it cuts right to the heart of what faith is all about by drawing a super clear line between two totally different ways of believing.
And boom, here it is. This is the core idea that started it all for Daniel Lamptey. He had this realization that, a lot of what we call faith is really just knowing facts about God. It's secondhand information, not a deep personal relationship. This one distinction is the key to everything else we're going to talk about.
So Lamptey really frames this as two paths, two completely different ways to live out your faith. And to make it super clear, he uses a couple of very famous people from the Bible to show us exactly what he means.
Okay, so on one side, you've got John the Baptist. Lamptey calls him the announcer. Think about it. He was told what was coming, he looked for the signs, he pointed to Jesus, but it was all from a distance. Then, on the other side, you have Mary at that wedding in Cana. She's the insider. She didn't just know about Jesus, she knew him. She knew what he was capable of on a personal level.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because the outcome is totally different. The announcer, the one who just knows about God, well, that knowledge only gets you so far. When a real crisis hits, that faith can get shaky. But the insider, the one who truly knows God, they operate from a place of deep confidence that can actually unlock divine power, just like Mary did when she told them to do whatever Jesus said, even when the wine was gone.
Now, this isn't just some big abstract theological idea. Lamptey says this difference has a huge practical impact on our day-to-day lives, especially in how we deal with stress. And he uses a personal story to really bring it home.
So, picture this. The power company rolls up, the bill's overdue, and they cut the electricity. For pretty much all of us, that's instant panic mode, right? Your heart starts racing, you're scrambling, thinking, how am I going to fix this? It's a classic high-stress situation. But Daniel Lamptey's reaction? The complete opposite. He says he was just calm, like a stone. No panic, no rushing around, no worrying. He just turned to God, completely confident that a solution would show up. And this leads to Lamptey's most challenging point. He says that anxiety isn't just a normal human feeling. He sees it as a spiritual diagnostic tool. That feeling of anxiety is actually a signal telling you that your faith is built on knowing about God, not truly knowing Him. Because if you really knew Him, he says, anxiety just couldn't exist.
Okay, so that raises a huge question, right? How is that kind of calm even possible? And if God is all-powerful, why doesn't He just step in and fix things automatically? Well, Lamptey explains it all comes down to a major misunderstanding of how God actually works. This verse just nails the problem. We are constantly trying to understand a divine being with our very limited earthly brains. We see a problem and want a straight-line solution. But God's ways, His thoughts, they operate on a completely different level. And all that friction and anxiety we feel, it comes from trying to squeeze Him into our tiny box of understanding. To really put this difference in scale into perspective, Daniel Lamptey does a little scriptural math. He illustrates that what God can get done in just one day would feel like more than 365,000 days. That's about 1,000 years of human effort. We're just not operating on the same plane of power or perspective, not even close. And here's the other crucial piece of the puzzle from this teaching. God isn't some cosmic vending machine where you put in a problem and a solution pops out. He is a king. And a king doesn't just react to needs, a king has to be consulted. He responds when people who truly know Him as the provider come and engage that specific part of His nature. So if that's the goal, to move from just knowing about God to really truly knowing Him, how do we even start? Where do we begin? Thankfully, Lamptey gives us a very practical first step. And the approach he suggests is, well, it's probably the opposite of what you'd expect. He says the real foundation for knowing God doesn't start with what He can do. It starts by understanding what is absolutely impossible for Him to do. And the number one most fundamental thing God cannot do, He cannot change. His nature is perfect, it's constant, it's complete. Now, this isn't a weakness, it's the entire bedrock of our trust. Think about it. If He could change, it would mean He could get better, which would mean He wasn't perfect to begin with. So, why is this one idea so important? Well, because we humans change all the time. We break promises, we get unreliable, and we have a bad habit of projecting that instability onto God. But according to Daniel Lamptey, when you truly grasp that God is incapable of changing His promises, it becomes the ultimate antidote to fear. It means His Word is a solid anchor you can hold on to, and that knowledge is what gives you that unshakable calm in a crisis.
And that's really the final thought we want to leave you with from this teaching. If you truly, deeply believed in a God whose nature and whose promises were absolutely constant and reliable, how would that completely transform your reaction the next time you find yourself facing uncertainty?